Girl, you better work. Hi, I'm Gabby and welcome back to another edition of The Fragrantician, where here on this channel we talk about nothing but fragrances. So, if that's your supermodel catwalk, keep on watching. Talking about supermodels, and I'm fanning myself because I am hot again. Always hot. But let's talk about supermodels. Do you remember 90s supermodels? Of course I do. If that's your era, then comment, because I want to see if we're in the same genre. Is that the word? Genre? I don't know. Anyway, so I have 5 fragrances for 5 supermodels that they wear, although actually one of them I've cheated because I don't have the fragrance. So I've had to improvise on what she's wearing. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Claudia Schiffer, who was or is a German actress and model born in the Rheinberg area, I think in 1970-ish. So she's about 51, maybe nearly 52. And she was the new face of Chanel, if I remember. Karl Lagerfeld chose her for Chanel. She's appeared in Harper's Bazaar, Vogue. All of these models have done so many catwalks. And I must admit, her claim to fame for me in film world has to be, I think, with the 2003 film Love Actually. She played a single mother and she only had about 2 or 3 lines. And she was trying to be chatted up by, who's that Irish actor? See, I'm not very good at names like that. But anyway, she wears, allegedly, of course this is all from the internet, but I'm assuming this is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. Agent Provocateur by Agent Provocateur, which kind of, I can't get that off. I can't deal. It frustrates me when the packaging looks so lovely and you try to pull it off and it's just... Do you know, I think I'm going to get rid of that. Anyway, so she wears this fragrance, this perfume, which did surprise me. It is a very chypre boudoir fragrance. I would imagine this gives me Vivienne Westwood vibes, this kind of fragrance. And actually Vivienne Westwood did have a line of fragrances herself. But this is, lace lingerie. It's a lingerie product. It's luxury. So I don't think she ever advertised for them. But she wears this. I'm going to actually spray a little bit. I don't normally wear this a lot. I used to wear it a lot. It is a very strong fragrance. I've had this a long time. It may have been reformulated. This is a very strong fragrance. It's slightly metallic. It gives me a little bit of Rive Gauche, a little bit of those vibes, but it's more, I think it's more sharper and stronger. It's actually quite pungent. I don't want to get rid of it because it's a fragrance that I'm a fragrance collector. So for me, this kind of fragrance will always be in my collection because it's something that I can always go back to. I can always refer to. Let's face it, Agent Provocateur, I have a couple behind me, but this one is the original one. This is a Rose Chypre. And it has an animalic feel. I need to revisit this. I actually do really like it. So, Claudia Schiffer, you dirty little woman, you. Yes, I'm talking at you, Claudia Schiffer, or Claudia, as we say in German. Yeah, Agent Provocateur. Beast mode, strong, strutting the catwalk. The next supermodel that was huge in the 90s I think maybe even the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s to late 90s anyway, was Helena Christensen. And she was born in Denmark, in Copenhagen. I think she had a Peruvian mother, I think, and maybe, well, she had a Danish father. But she was born in 1968. And apparently now she may reside in Monaco, I don't know. But she's worked alongside Christy Turlington, she's worked alongside Claudia Schiffer, she's worked alongside all these other models that I'm going to briefly talk about. But her fragrance that she wears, oh, she also, I think, closed, isn't this the Versace show in 2018 in homage to Versace, I think, with other supermodels. But anyway, the fragrance that she absolutely adores and loves is Anaïs by Cacharel. Yes, who would have thought it? Well, actually, when you think about it, I mean, she's in her 50s. She's going to be of that era where it's a classic austere fragrance. It's spicy floral with hyacinth and carnation, and as it dries down, it becomes more woody. But it is a green, beautiful floral, very classic, very French. I mean, she's Danish herself, but she also dated, I think, Michael Hutchence from In Excess. Well, was he loving this when she was wearing this, or did she wear something else? This is a vintage bottle I have. Who remembers that advertisement where the girl with the long flowing hair would just go and kiss? I think that was in the 90s. That must have been round about the early to mid 90s when we were all wearing this, weren't we? I was, and I still do. Faithful, loyal. All of these fragrances have a floral aspect to it. One maybe doesn't have as much as the others, although they still have a floral element, a strong floral element. Strong, bold, audacious, classic, chypre style fragrances. The best style of fragrance, in my opinion. French perfumery at its best. And actually, all of these are French. Yes. So, Anaïs by Cacharel. Helena Christensen, wearing it fabulously, strutting that catwalk. It's not the best bottle, is it? Not the best looking bottle, but that was the fashion back then in the 80s. I mean, even the 90s, it might have looked a little bit dated even then, but I love it. Absolutely love it, and I cherish it. Helena Christensen, Anaïs. Now, the third one is our British model. Well, actually, she's one of two. The first of our two British models that has been in the news recently in the Johnny Depp trial, about a month ago, maybe. And she reportedly wears Serge Lutin's Fleur d'Oranger. Well, why not? She also wears Clarins, Eau Dynamisante, or Clarins, as we say in English. But this one, it is floral, but it has some citrus back elements to it, and it has the cumin in it. So it's a spicy floral. Anaïs is a spicy floral, but it's not spicy, it's more green, and it has more of an edge to it, with more of a bold edge to it with the hyacinth, whereas with this, the bold edge comes from the cumin mixed with the orange blossom. Or it's orange blossom dominant for sure, with about 10% cumin in it, I would say. But it's so pretty, so edgy. And Kate Moss herself, you think about it, she's quite an edgy person. She was the face of Yves Saint Laurent for a while, when she was the cover girl for Parisienne, when she advertised for them, the perfume back then, about 14, 15 years ago. But in the 90s, she was discovered, and she's probably about a year or two younger than me. So she's probably about 48 now, I would say. She is. But still looking good. She's taken a back step, which is fine. And I actually really do quite like her. I do quite respect her. I think she was, she told the truth in the trial. Well, that's my opinion. And I love it. Kate Moss. I mean, this is one of my signature fragrances. It would be in my top 10 for life. It would be in my top 5 for life. So yes, because I have 2 more bottles, as I keep talking about, I know. So Serge Lutens, Fleur d'Oranger, Kate Moss. Now the next supermodel did surprise me. She wears, apparently, Diorissimo by Dior, which is a lily of the valley scent. It's pure, it's innocent. It's not screechy at all, and it's not shrill at all. Some lily of the valley scents can be quite shrill and can be quite, oh God, old. What's old anyway? This is old. Well, this bottle isn't, but Naomi Campbell wears this, which, let's face it, she has got a strong personality of herself. I remember her first appearance on TV was in Grange Hill in the 80s. Was it like the early 80s, mid 80s? There she was as a teenager then, as like a 14, 15-year-old. Then went on to supermodel fandom, and she wears this, which is a classic Lily of the Valley. This one is a reinterpretation of the 1950s style. Lily of the Valley, as you know, was Christian Dior's signature floral. Yes, I know, Claude. And so it did surprise me because of her strong get-go personality, her strong, tenacious personality. But maybe she wants to wear a fragrance like this because this is maybe what she really wants to be. Who knows? But if you love Lily of the Valley and you love a little bit of ylang ylang and jasmine, which is in this fragrance, but predominantly Lily of the Valley, which isn't an actual note, it's an accord of other floral notes, which is an interpretation of that perfumer's note of the Lily of the Valley. If I'm talking nonsense, I don't know. Anyway, Diorissimo, Dior, Naomi Campbell. We don't wake up for less than $10,000 a day was maybe once quoted in Vogue by Linda Evangelista. Well, apparently, Karl Lagerfeld said she was one of the most talented and the most professional models to work with. Linda Evangelista. She was dubbed also as the chameleon of the supermodel runway. You could probably throw anything at her and she was able to do it. But she is the oldest of this bunch. Well, there has to be an older one, doesn't there? She was born in 1965. I think she was born in Canada. She first joined Elite Agency and then the rest is history. She became, in the late 80s, early to mid 90s, one of the biggest supermodels in the world. She loved, or still loves, Fracas by Robert Piguet. Now, I don't own that fragrance. And actually, I know there are a lot of people out there that do love Fracas, but I like it, but I don't feel it's justified to be in my fragrance collection. And it's a tuberose based fragrance, but it wasn't the best tuberose fragrance I'd smelled. I'm sorry. But I think I'm going to give her a different fragrance. So if you're watching Linda Evangelista, which you're probably not at all, but if you are and you do stumble to come across this face, then I will say, try, if you haven't, she probably has, Amarige by Givenchy, because I think this is better. This is all of the florals, including tuberose. And I think this would work stunning on Linda Evangelista. So, Fracas by Robert Piguet, which is a big, audacious, white floral fragrance, but it's not, no, it's not for me, but for her, I could see her wearing it because it is, like Giorgio Beverly Hills, it is a strong, what I call fluorescent fragrance. Fluorescent fragrances, is that the word fluorescent? It's more, which is more maybe synthetic style, but it's a punch. It's a real punch in the face. It's a bang. Amarige is like that as well. Do you know what? I actually really love this. I'm gonna spray a bit of this on my hand. I put a little dent in it, but yeah, it's classic Dominique Ropion. I could see you wearing this, Linda Evangelista. So apart from Fracas, Robert Piguet, Amarige by Givenchy would be the one. So those are 5 supermodels of the 90s, and the fragrances they wear, bar one, which I did cheat on, I know. What other supermodels are out there? There were tons in the 90s. Cindy Crawford, Christy Turlington. Yeah, loads and loads. But we don't really hear a lot about supermodels now. They ruled the runway back in the late 80s and through to the 90s and through to the early 2000s. They ruled the runway. So as Kate Moss reportedly once said, if I'm going dancing, I'm wearing the shortest dress with the highest heels. Well, we always like to give some people something to talk about. Otherwise, we're not just relevant. Till next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.